Welcome back to Blake's Craft Beer Podcast, episode 95, an official kickstart at the Craft Beer Summit 2025. I can't believe we're already getting into 2025, looking in 2026, and there's only two people I know I need to have on to start this off, and they're two wonderful people that love craft beer as much as I do. And please introduce yourself and your roles.
Hey, I'm Mary MacDonald. I'm the Executive Director of the Ohio Craft Brewers Association.
And I'm Justin Hemminger. I'm the Deputy Director of the Ohio Craft Brewers Association.
Welcome back. It doesn't feel like it's already been a year since I've had you guys on, and craft just keeps evolving. If you could describe craft beer in one word in 2025, what would it be?
Go on, comms guy.
I would say, in one word.
It could be more than one word. Don't worry.
Okay.
Most people fail at this. So.
I think craft is changing. I think craft is we're kind of branching. A lot of our breweries are branching out beyond beer, either getting into NA or THC beverages, or or into distilling, cider making. Craft is a commitment to quality. It always has been, and I think you see the product is important, but an overall commitment to making sure that customers are getting the experience that they want is what's paramount now.
I was going to say evolving, because craft beer has always been based on creativity, and I think that our brewers are taking the lessons that they've learned from brewing IPAs and Pilsners and stouts and all the various things that they've brewed over the years, and applying some of that creativity to other products too.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the biggest evolution that you've seen so far? I mean, has it blown your mind on some of the things they're doing now?
I don't know that mind blowing. I mean, that's a high bar there. No pun intended if we're talking about THC beverages.
Yeah.
But, when I started in 2013, I think there was still a lot of education being done, right? Like, there were only like 50 some breweries in the state. Not everybody knew what an IPA was, never mind what it was like to have a beer on nitro or Hefeweizen and all these other, hundreds of styles of beers that we have, right? And so when breweries opened throughout the state and in lots of little towns, there was a lot of education going on for people who were used to having the options of whether it came from a red network of AB or the blue network of the Molson Coors. Like, those were usually the options, and there wasn't a lot of variety within those options. And so in the last 20 years or so, we've exploded the number of options available and the number of flavors available. And so now it has all come back around to like, I just want a simple Pilsner for a lot of people, right? So you've got a lot of craft brewers making. Ohio Light is out there, Eagle Light, right? There's just been we've come full circle to now. We've got all the flavors, and we've even got some of the basics, back to basics.
Yeah. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I think if mind blowing is the bar that has to be crossed every year, then there are a lot for any industry. I think that would be that'd be pretty tough to pull off. I think it kind of, touching on Mary's point there. Craft beer was not a mainstream product even 10 years ago, and now it's everywhere. You can buy singles of IPAs at gas stations. That was unheard of a decade ago. We've gotten to the point where everybody knows what craft beer is, or at least has an idea of what craft beer is. And I think to you can kind of see that's as it becomes a mainstream product, it loses the allure that it may have had 10 years ago when everybody was learning what it was and exploring everything. The craft brewing industry really has always been about high quality and experience, and that's what it needs to continue to be going forward. A new variety of IPA, or a long forgotten and trendy brewing technique is that's a footnote really to what the members of our industry really need to focus on, which is making connections with people, helping people make connections with each other, and continuing to make high quality products no matter what those are.
Because it definitely feels like just customers palates are changing of what they want. It's like it's hard to pinpoint what they truly want. Is when breweries first started, it was just beer and beer only. Then people bring food in, and now and you mentioned NA, ciders, wine, and now THC. How do you guys help people navigate what people really want?
Well, it's not our job to help the people navigate, right? Like, we run a nonprofit organization that helps brewers hopefully be successful. And to do that, we bring in experts who can talk to them about what's going on in the world and things that they should be taking into consideration, right? And things like that. So, we've got our conference coming up in January in Dayton, which I think you mentioned, right? And that's one opportunity where we'll have people who present on topics, a myriad of topics relevant to the brewing industry, including what's going on in the world, things you should take into consideration whether you're going to brew THC beverages or your next beer.
Like, we're not brewers. We're organization, we're association professionals, right? We can help people, keep people connected. We can push for things that are going to move our industry forward, and that are gonna generally help businesses. But we aren't, we don't keep track of customer preferences. We don't keep track of trends. We're not watching scan data in the marketplace. That's all of those things. We can bring in people for our educational conferences or for meeting sessions that are experts in that field, who can talk about that and talk to that data set more intelligently than we can, because that's what they're in every day. But that's not our day to day. We are we've got our marketing apparatus to kind of highlight what's going on in the state, to get people out into tap rooms through the Ohio on Tap app. We've got we do offer those educational resources at the direction of our education committee. That is made up of brewers who tell us what they want to learn about, and then help us source experts in the field to come in and give that information out. And then the political advocacy that I talked about also, that we're always in communication with legislators and regulators to try and make running a business as easy as it can be for our breweries.
Mm-hmm.
While operating within a highly regulated industry.
Yes.
So how's it going with the legislators so far?
We've got a bill out. We got two bills out there, one in the House and one in the Senate, still trying to change Ohio alcoholic beverage franchise law to enable small and independent brewers the freedom to contract directly with a wholesale beer distributor outside of the confines of a Ohio alcoholic beverage franchise law, which effectively keeps them trapped in those relationships in perpetuity, based on a law that was created in 1974. So we've had sponsor testimony in both the House and the Senate, which means that the people who put forth those bills have testified before their relevant committees. And we've had proponent testimony in both committees, which means we and brewers who are in support of changing this legislation have gotten up and testified on behalf of it. And we have 2 new committees in this in this General Assembly. So General Assemblies run every 2 years. We're on a cycle. So this legislation, we've got we've still got a football field. We've run one football field between the beginning of the year and the end of this year, and we've still got a football field to go in terms of when the General Assembly changes over, and we have to start all over again. So we had a really productive State House Day in April. We had 103 meetings with legislators, and I'm going to call that a record that any organization has had in one day with the number of meetings we had, because that's a huge number considering there's like 130 some legislators between the House and Senate. And so we met with a majority of them easily. And I think they were all very sympathetic. They're definitely paying attention to their constituents. So, we're continuing to move that ball forward, right? Mm-hmm. We need to have at least one more hearing in each committee. Typically that would be opponent testimony, or at least all interested parties testimony, all parties testimony. And so I think for the most part, things are wrapping down in the legislative session for this year. They're very much focused on THC, intoxicating hemp, right now, because with the governor's ban and then the federal ban that's coming through with the most recent federal legislation to put the government back to work, that will have an impact in about a year on us if nothing changes between now and then. Now I have a husky joining me. She wants to know what's going on in my office that I'm never in.
So where is THC? I mean, how much? I know in a year it could all go away, but what can you guys and people do to try to help? Is there a way to help correct that or fix that?
Well, it's in conference committee now. So with the governor's ban, I think the intention was to give the state legislature an impetus to figure out how to regulate it. And I think that has been effective in terms of, this has been out there for a couple years and it was unregulated. We do believe it should be regulated. It's an intoxicating substance. And our people, at least, are definitely self-regulating. It's regulated through the Department of Agriculture, but also if you go to a brewery or restaurant or any place, they're only serving those beverages to people who are 21 and over, like we do for all of our other beverages. So with the governor's ban, again, it jump-started the legislature. The legislature I think they're going into conference committee, so they had a bill in the House and they had a bill in the Senate, and those two bills did not agree with each other of what the solution should be. And so they're in conference committee now, hammering out the details of what that looks like. With any luck, we will get a ruling, a bill that both houses of the state legislature will pass, and then we'll have guardrails on this. If they don't do anything, then it just continues as it has been, I think. And then in a year, in November of 2026, the federal ban goes into place, right? For Ohio, ideally, the legislature will come up with some guidelines like they have for marijuana, and it's regulated similar to alcohol, right? What can we do? I think we're waiting to see what the conference committee determines they're going to do, right? And so if it comes out and all the gas station stuff is regulated now and we're regulated and we continue under the Department of Agriculture, or it gets thrown under the Division of Liquor Control or wherever that lands, like that's the ideal situation. Is we know what we're allowed to make, who we report to, who the inspectors are. We're just, we would like clarity for our industry on what we can do and how we can do it and what's legal. And again, if Ohio puts that into place, even if there is a federal ban, much like marijuana, the state law rules in that situation, and those are the rules we abide by. Now, there's still implications for our businesses in terms of potential banking and insurance and things like that. But knowing that we are good to go under Ohio law is the biggest hurdle, I think, right now. Justin?
Yeah, I would say seeing what comes out of the conference committee is going to determine what actions supporters of hemp beverages will take going forward. Ultimately, I think, and yeah, as an organization, we represent breweries. It just so happens that a lot of our breweries are in this space and making products with hemp derived THC.
Or
Uh,
selling products with hemp derived THC. Yeah.
um, so we're not necessarily ourselves, a hemp THC advocacy group, so much as we're advocating for the businesses that are in the space and trying to make a go of it with their businesses, uh, manufacturing and selling these products. That said, uh, most of them have been asking for this space to be regulated, and since the U.S. Congress has decided to enact this full ban, closing the loophole that they opened in 2018 with the Farm Bill. The next step logically is really, no matter what happens with conference committee, is lobbying federal representatives to enact a similar regulatory framework around hemp THC, uh, that would that would ease some of the issues like Mary mentioned with banking, insurance, supply chains, interstate markets. Because right now, if you're making these beverages in Ohio, you can sell them in Ohio, you can sell them in other states, uh, but with a federal ban, even if Ohio allows these beverages, you would still have to be able to get all of your ingredients more or less in state, unless there was some exception in federal code that would allow you to do that. But then you would lose all those markets outside of Ohio. So, like, even if you're in Cincinnati making THC beverages, you wouldn't be able to sell them over the river in Kentucky, and that's a large part of the market for the people who are really deep into the manufacturing of these beverages. So yeah, federal intervention or federal advocacy is probably where this goes next. That's not necessarily a pool that we swim in very often. We have sent we've sent letters to all of Ohio's congressional delegation, urging them not to ban hemp, but that did go through regardless. So, that's as far as we've gone in federal advocacy. Like, honestly, we're not, as a small organization that's primarily focused on state level advocacy. That's not necessarily where we're going to be the strongest, but there are lots of other nationwide organizations that will probably take the torch and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And thus far, the National Brewers Association has not taken a position on it either, right? Our position is that we support our members having the opportunity to create any beverage that is legal to make. And in this case, these have been legal, and so we'd like for them to be able to continue to make them. And 2 or 3 times as many people who are making them in Ohio are serving them at their tap rooms, right? And so, again, that's been a nice part of the business for them, and they'd like to keep that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Because with changing consumer tastes, not everyone drinks beer anymore. Some people are California sober, I understand, is a thing, and they like the opportunity to have those beverages when they go out with their friends.
Right. Because I mean, right now in Dayton, the Warped Wind just came out with their first NA. How this is a cool thing also for you to see how NA has grown as a category, not in just in craft beer, but in Ohio. It just seems like Warped Wind just did. Rhine Guys just did their own NA, the evolution of NA.
Yeah, Brewdog has had one too. And I think, again, it's one of those things that I think most of our tap rooms serve NA, right? And now they have local options that they can serve at their tap rooms versus the national brands. And I think supporting local is important to our members as well.
Yeah, and there's been a technological evolution too, with NA beer production. Uh, Up until very recently, you had to be of a pretty significant size to be able to invest in the technology that's required to brew an NA beer. Like it's not as simple as just making something and keeping the yeast out, or like or
I was that stupid
getting the
after one
alcohol
time.
out of it. Yeah. But yeah, there have been advances in that market because the market has grown so much in the last 5 years or so, that it's getting a little bit easier for smaller manufacturers to get into that production space. Yeah, and Ohio's doing a really good job of it. I mean, if you look at the results in the Great American Beer Festival competition from a couple months ago, Rheingeist and Fatheads both won medals for their non-alcoholic beers. Like uh, that's pretty impressive, to see that we're at least a few of our breweries are getting into that space and thriving in it.
I liked watching GABF and the number of twofers we had, where we had two breweries who won. We haven't swept a category yet. Come on, Ohio. But having two is nice.
Yeah. And then also we had two Ohio breweries win Breweries of the Year too, which that has to be pretty impressive as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't believe anybody had won a Brewery of the Year award previously. There was a controversial GABF a few years ago, where someone was awarded something that was then taken back due to
Well,
clerical error.
right. So Fatheads got to keep theirs this year. But Brink won Small Brewery of the Year in the
They
past.
did. That's right. Yeah. I don't have that in my spreadsheet. I'm gonna have to update that.
Right. I think I did add it this year as I was updating them. But yeah, we should include those.
It's definitely the first time we've ever won two in a year.
Right.
But that must make you feel good that you have to keep updating your spreadsheet on what people have won awards wise, because it seems like any time Ohio goes into competition, breweries just nail it.
Yeah, everybody's
it's
doing such great work.
it's fairly unpredictable, but yes, Ohio's been on a pretty hot streak for the last few years. And then we encourage that because we orchestrate group shipping out to Colorado for World Beer Cup and Great American Beer Festival, because it can be cumbersome to try to get your beers out there for the competition. And so we have regional drop points for our breweries that they can drop their beer off, and then it stays in refrigeration, and then it goes on a refrigerated truck out to Louisville in Colorado, where everything gets sorted and then judged by the BA.
Because do you guys run the Ohio Awards thing as well?
Well, we're about to.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Sure. The first Ohio Beer Awards will take place in January. We'll be judging at Mad Tree, and then we will have our awards ceremony as sort of the capstone to our Ohio Craft Brewers Conference on January 28th. And so we've got, I believe it's 31 categories. It's open registration right now for Ohio craft breweries who want to enter that. We have restricted it to craft breweries and cideries and meaderies. And so we're hoping that we get a good amount of entries, and we're ready to go to judge in January and then award some medals. We think it'll be again, we love that our breweries win national awards. We think that this will be a good morale, team building, community building activity for our brewers. And then it's just a great way to cap off our conference, which is always sort of that craft beer family reunion every year. But usually on the last night, everybody just sort of wanders out and away and back to where they came from and stops at breweries on the way home. But we're looking forward to have a final celebration of what we all just did. So,
and there's an educational component to it as well. I mean, we're expecting to get several hundred entries. Knock on wood. Hopefully that all works out. But each of the judging panels in the first round of the competition will be providing feedback notes to the brewers that entered. Basically to let them know if they're how close they were on style to what they entered, if there were any detectable flaws in the beer, just little things, little notes that can help them refine their processes and and continue to put out high quality beer.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm excited to say the OCBA is in Dayton this year. I'm truly excited to have it in my backyard this year. Columbus was great, but it feels nice to have it in Dayton.
This is our third round in Dayton, so we do sort of make a cycle. We're back again. Like, did we mention that the National Craft Brewers Conference is coming to Columbus in 2028?
It's been talked about a little bit on here, but talk to us
I
about
mean,
that.
that's all the details. I don't even think I have actual dates for. Well, I probably do have actual dates. I believe it's in May 2028, but I don't have those on me. But yeah, during our conference this year, the Brewers Association was in town to look at Columbus, and we happened to be having our conference in Columbus, so we put together a little welcoming committee, took them out to some places in Columbus, and then heard about mid-year that we were selected for the 2028 event. So we're super excited about that. To have it in Ohio, right, is exciting and is an honor.
Yeah. And another big event you guys do all the time is the women's get together. Are you guys planning on doing that again?
Yeah, if we're going to go in order of the things we're doing, we got the January conference, right? Then we've got the Winter Warmer Fest on March 6th. Justin, is it the 6th this year? So March 7th. Like, it's one number either way, right? March 7th, 2026 at Windows on the River. And then April 11th will be our Women's Summit. We're calling it Brewing Her Story instead because of brewing history. We've actually got Tara Nurin coming to speak about her book that she wrote, A Woman's Place is in the Brew House.
Nice. I love how you guys always have events all the time and stuff like that. And I love getting the notifications too. You guys do a really good job with that app.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's all Justin. Justin gets all the credit.
We do, try to keep the calendar relatively full. As a staff of 3, we do need a little downtime here and there. So like during the summer months when a lot of the breweries are doing their own events, taking advantage of the good Ohio weather, we do take a little break and then spin right back up in the fall. So, but yeah, like the awards, the conference, Winter Warmer, the women's beer event, Ohio on Tap Week will be coming back in May. We do the mystery beer date events, the beer speed dating events during that. We'll have collaboration beer coming back around, and then we take a little break, and then we come back in September with Ohio Pint Day, and it's that's kind of the kickoff of our event season. And, yeah, after it's been 6 years of Ohio Pint Day, and I feel like this year's classes might have gone a little faster than ones in the past. So
they were definitely popular.
Yeah,
and we threw a golf outing in there. We totally forgot the golf outing that we did in September.
I like the double stamps now when their brewery has an event and stuff. You guys are throwing that out there too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we wanted to we wanted to give our breweries an opportunity to get people back out to visit them more than once. So if you already got the stamp from the brewery that's down the street from you, if they're having a special event, you can promote that and get a bonus stamp added to the event, and hopefully get a lot of the super fans like you out to to check out a special event, an anniversary or a beer release or whatever it may be.
And one thing I do also like is, I mean, there's some weekends that there's multiple breweries have an anniversary, so it's cool to just see when you guys have that for people to just see, because sometimes you get lost on what actually is going on, which is not a bad thing. I love having more than one event to go to and stuff like that.
We could probably have a person who just tracks brewery anniversary events through the year.
But yeah, anything we can do to make the app a better resource for craft beer lovers, that's what we're trying to do. Like trying to get a little more engagement from the breweries themselves, make that event calendar a little more robust. That's what we're trying to trend toward.
So another thing I want to talk about: how have you guys helped like navigate, with the tariff stuff, with the grains, the aluminum and stuff like that? How has that you think gone so far, and is there much input you can do on that?
Yeah, I think one of our primary resources is we just communicate, right? Like we find out what the impact is having and communicate that to legislators. We find out, what the rules are, and communicate that to our members. And that's, half the battle is just knowing if you know that your aluminum cans are going to potentially increase based on tariffs, or do you have the storage space to stock up, right? What can we do to help mitigate whatever's happening in the world? And sometimes there's not a lot we can do but commiserate with them, but we try to have impact when we can. So there was a lot of discussion at the beginning of the year. There was a lot of directing people in the media to breweries who were being impacted by tariffs and letting them tell their stories, and getting those out there in the world. And I think that does have an impact. It raises awareness. So when people are talking to their legislators, if they know that their local brewery, that their local community gathering place is being impacted, they want to help.
Mm-hmm. Justin.
Yeah, and then tariffs are a tricky issue in that they, at least in this administration, uh, they've been a surprise sometimes. Like what the rates are going to be, what products are going to be covered. There hasn't been a lot of telegraphing of intent to organizations like ours that can give a heads up, like, hey, this is something that's you know on the radar. If there's any way that you can prepare for it. uh at least in the first part of this year, it seemed like a lot of things that were inputs for our brewers, either ingredients or equipment or packaging, were getting hit with tariffs kind of out of the blue. um, and as a small business, it's hard for any business to deal with that kind of uncertainty, but it's especially hard for small businesses that don't necessarily have the resources to roll with the punches when they come in. So yeah, and it is a federal issue. So again, that's kind of like beyond. It's not beyond our realm, but it's like on the peripheries of where our focus is. With our organization's mission. But the national group, the Brewers Association, they are very heavily involved in that, and we and other state guilds are in communication with them a lot on what their federal advocacy is around tariffs and other policies like that.
Yeah, I went to DC in July with a group of brewers, and that was through the Brewers Association, and so there were a lot of guilds and other breweries there, and that was definitely one of the things we did talk about was the tariffs and their impact on small businesses. And to Justin's point, needing certainty, like knowing what's going to impact us when.
So, how was that like going to DC with all those brewers about meeting up with different guilds? What was some of the biggest conversations you guys were having together on stuff?
Well, so as guilds, we're like our own little troop of, I don't know. There's like 50 of us probably, but we're also like the only people who do what we do. So it's always nice to meet up with the other guilds and just learn about what's going on in their states and how they're dealing with the similar issues that we're dealing with, right? So earlier in the year when we had our conference, one of the topics was a hemp beverage panel. And so we had Bob Galligan from Minnesota come and speak on that panel because it's something that they've been working on for a couple years. And so being able to take knowledge from other people who have already been in a situation or dealt with things, and then being able to share our knowledge of things that we've done. So, Michigan was one of the first guilds to have a conference, and I experienced that pretty early on and was like, I think this is a good opportunity for our breweries. And so we started a conference, 11, 12 years ago now. And then we've shared what has worked for us with other guilds who are thinking about starting a conference for their brewers.
How many states out there that still don't have them?
It's hard, right? Because you have to have, so Ohio has 400 and some breweries. Now there were only about 60 when we started, but those were bigger breweries, right? Rheingeist existed when we started. Sam Adams existed, Great Lakes, Fatheads, Columbus Brewing Company. And so they were all there to support the early efforts of the guild. Some states, and again, that's because our state laws are good and encourage breweries. Our structure for the A1C that was created in 2013 really encourages, makes it easier to start a brewery in Ohio. Other states are still battling, being able to deliver direct to consumer, being able to self distribute. Heck, not that long ago, you couldn't even have a tap room in some states, or you couldn't sell growlers to go in some states, right? And I think we're through those major hurdles, but still direct to consumer, and self distribution are still issues in a lot of states, and franchise law is still an issue in like 30 some states.
Is there ever some stuff that people pick your brain on for, and you do the same thing with their state? I know you mentioned the THC thing with Minnesota, but has there been any other things that jumps out to you?
I mean, pretty recently, we're evangelists for the pint day, for the state pint days, right? Because as a nonprofit organization, it's a balance of how you're going to fund your organization. You don't lean too heavily on dues, especially when times are hard, because everyone's struggling to survive. So, what events can we have that don't over rely on the breweries? And pint day is a great one, right? Because it drives traffic into the breweries that are participating. It supports a local artist, and promotes a local artist. So that's a big one. Our collaboration beer has always been pretty successful. And so sharing the stories of how that got started and how we run it, because, different states do things differently. And so, the competition is a great one. We are having competition because Texas and Colorado and New York all had great success with their competitions, and we're like, everybody should have a competition. It's great for the building industry relationships and celebrating the industry and the successes in the industry, and it's a fun thing to do. And so we're like, all right, sold, sign us up. We'll figure out how to do it too. So I went to Texas at the beginning of the year to learn how they did their judging, and Justin just recently came back from FOBAB, the Festival of Barrel Aged Beer, to watch how they run their cellar and the judging during the competition.
I bet you had some good beer at FOBAB, didn't you?
Believe it or not, I didn't even go to the festival.
Oh.
I worked in the cellar. I took a few sips here and there. I got to try a couple of the best in show entries. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a like they do all of their judging the day of the first session of the festival. So like, you show up at the arena at 7 o'clock in the morning, and start, doing your cellar steward duties and getting the judges ready. And, the judging wraps up, shortly before the doors open for the festival. And like, you've already been there for 10 hours on your feet and like, moving things around. It's like, it can be a challenge to want to go and, drink barrel aged beers for 4 hours after you're done with all that. So I opted out of it, but I did get to taste some really good beers, including the ones that were on the best in show table, which was fun. Like, having a little behind the scenes taste with everybody who put in so much work to make that whole festival and competition happen. It was really fun.
The FOBAB is definitely one on my radar. I definitely want to go do one year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of stories on that one.
It's a great event. I mean, and yeah, the way that they've been running that, the Illinois Guild does that as a fundraiser for themselves. And yeah, the way that they have been running that and like keeping the excitement up about it for, I don't even know how long they've been doing it now. It's well over a decade. Yeah, it's that's one of the really great beer events in the country. I would recommend it.
Yeah. Have you ever been there, Mary?
I have not. No. It's a great taste of the Midwest. That's a really fun one. It's in the summer. It's in Madison. Went to Dark Lord Day very early in my career.
We're coming up on some big ones too here with Whiskey Rebellion and different other barrel releases coming up. That's always a fun time. How was that, Demogorgon?
Yeah, Demogorgon. Hey, is Esther's Secret out yet? What was the secret?
Yes, it has come out. So,
I think you were on vacation when it came out, and I was working at FOBAB.
Yeah, if you can find it, it's very good.
Awesome. Have we mentioned our license plate?
Oh, yeah.
You showed it to me a little bit when you were lagging out, so I wasn't quite sure, but that's so cool. So how do you guys come up with that idea?
There was actually a legislative activity. We had to petition to be able to have the license plate. Ohio Department of Transportation had to approve the design, and so it really supports our app. Says "Drink beer made here," and it like $15 from every license plate that's sold comes back to the organization. So it's a nice little fundraiser.
That's nice.
Yeah, you had to go testify in front of a committee
at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and they wanted to know why I didn't bring samples at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's like, oh.
If you do that for the franchise laws, it might move faster. Kidding.
They always ask you. But you gotta go through metal detectors. Like the Stadies aren't going to let me take a case of beer into the, and I think that would be considered a bribe. So, like we want to get this through based on its merits, not because we bribed the committee. It has all the merits it needs. Support small businesses.
Yes. So, what are some other major things in 2026 you guys are looking forward to?
I mean, for starters, just the competition and the conference. Like that's the first big thing. That's what we're spending a lot of time working on right now. And so, that's again, it's like a family reunion in January. So it's always exciting. It's always a great time. It's good to see everybody in the industry catch up. It's just after the holidays, right? So it's kind of the slower time of year when everyone's just gearing up to, I think March is usually January, February is a little slower. So March is when things really pick up. So we're glad to be able to provide some activity, some educational opportunities in January.
Right.
Yeah, and we'll be going to Philadelphia for the Craft Brewers Conference and the World Beer Cup competition award ceremony in April. That's always a good opportunity for us to catch up and with other guilds, connect with them in person, go to some of the seminars and kind of stay on top of what's of note or concern, in the industry. Talk to the staff of the Brewers Association, pick their brains on what their priorities are, and what's coming up for them, and again, like our own conference, it's an opportunity for us to interact with our own brewery members like out in the wild, in a mostly non organizational environment. We can actually go and have some fun, share some beers and laughs with people. It's kind of nice.
I definitely like the bus. Is the bus coming back?
The bus for the conference?
Yeah, like in Columbus, you had the bus. I know it had its issues, but it still worked out really nicely.
I don't have a bus plan for Dayton. There used to be a tour company in Dayton that we used when we had the last conference there, and they do not exist anymore. So I do not have a bus plan for Dayton. Sorry, Blake.
Okay, it's all right. It's close enough for me. I think I can manage this.
Like there's Uber, there's Lyft, there's ways to get around.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else you want people to know?
When's this gonna run?
In the first week of December.
Okay. Winter Warmer Fest tickets are on sale for that event in Cleveland. It's always a great time. one of, if not the best, beer fest in the state of Ohio. Yeah, that's a good one.
And if you're listening from a brewery, then the Ohio Craft Brewers Conference tickets are on sale, and they're as cheap as they're going to be at this point. They go up, I believe, January 1. So get your Craft Brewers Conference tickets. We're going to have a great time in Dayton.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Cheers.
Cheers.